heroic act of courage and just something that should be universally commended. And I don't understand anyone who wouldn't support their or any family's right to sue a gun store or a gun manufacturer that has knowingly marketed or sold weapons for the pure purpose of destruction. So thank you for what you said, and I could not agree with you more strongly. Yes, ma'am, in the back. I think I saw your hand next. Yes, ma'am.
I'm very proud and respectful of your mother, who not only is smart, hardworking, definitely exemplifies in her personal and professional life as a politician that she embodies the all-American know-how, how to fix it, and she is not a quitter. When you allude to her first attempt to reform our health care, I personally couldn't have been prouder of her that she carried on and gives the credit due to President. What I am surprised in the primary now between Bernie and her is how incredibly courteous your mother is. It's time to take Bernie for his disingenuous and exploitive political stance on exploiting our college students that obviously it's a population that doesn't have a first start into the future because of student loans. However, why is he supporting college students? Obviously because they can vote. Where is his understanding of Americans' embedded racism in our education when students of Rome or Utica are educated at the cost of about $11,000, $12,000 per student? But students of, our affluent suburbs of New Hartford, Clinton, where I live, are educated at about $27,000 to $30,000 per student. And in Westchester County, one of our most affluent counties in New York State, students are educated in our public schools at about $40,000. So when Bernie is targeting college student who will vote, who is desperate, who is saddled with a loan that cannot start, to correct the ills of his generation and of his political leaderships, okay, he should have taken something what is really institutionally wrong and embedded in our culture, that is public education. Second, as a divorced woman, I am exceedingly proud of your mother, how she conducted your family through your family crisis. Your mother is my hero because she didn't go for the easy way out. She took a courage and stamina of a mother and a wife to carry on a family, and she knew how, and she did it with honor, integrity, and your mother is my hero forever. Go Hillary for president.
I think it is wonderful that so many people are participating in this election. I also think it's important to recognize that most people still, unfortunately, have not yet participated in the states that have held contests so far. Even just thinking about young voters, we think about 55% of 18 to 24-year-olds are registered to vote across the country. And yet, in most states that have voted so far, the majority of even young people who are registered haven't come to vote, which means the majority of young people haven't yet participated. And I think one of kind of the big challenges is that we don't have universal voter registration. It's something I'm grateful my mom was an early and vocal supporter of, and something I'm grateful is now the Democratic Party position. Surely if until the early 1970s we sent a draft card to every young man in our country when he turned 18, in 2016 we can figure out how to automatically register everyone to vote when they turn 18. And the reason this is so important is because although clearly, as I shared earlier, not everyone who's registered comes to vote, the greatest predictor of whether someone will vote is whether or not they're registered to vote. And that might seem obvious, but if you listen to the news, there's always a focus about the weather on election day, right? And the weather's not unimportant, but truly the greatest predictor of whether someone votes is whether or not they're registered to vote. And your point about public education, I think, is such an important one. Something that my mom has talked about consistently throughout this campaign, and something I haven't heard anyone else talk about, Democrat and certainly not Republican, is getting back to something that my dad did when he was president in the 1990s, that then President Bush suspended and hasn't been restarted since, which is to empower the Department of Education to provide federal funding directly to districts that have a high percentage of Title I students, and directly to schools, individual schools that have a high percentage of Title I students. And